Shabbat shalom, everyone. I hope you are doing well. This week's parsha is Chayei Sarah, which means the life of Sarah. Sarah, of course, being Abraham's wife. And it's funny because this parsha really isn't about Sarah. It starts with her death, and that's why it's called Chayei Sarah, because those are the first two significant words of the parsha, Chayei Sarah. It said that Sarah dies in Israel, and Abraham goes through this whole ordeal to get her buried in Ma'arat Machpelah, the cave of Machpelah, to be buried amongst, where the Jewish people will be. And it's this whole ordeal, and then eventually he gets her settled in the cave. Then immediately after, the text says Abraham was very old, and God had blessed him with everything. And then he asks his servant. We are not given the servant's name in the Torah, but in commentary we learn that his name is Eliezer. He tells his servant Eliezer to go out and find a wife for Yitzchak. And when he's told to go out to find a wife for Yitzchak, Abraham says, "Go back to my land," which he means Mesopotamia or current Turkey. So again, they were in the land of Israel, and he was told, Eliezer was told by Abraham to go to Turkey to find a wife for Yitzchak, which is interesting. Okay, so Eliezer goes to Turkey to find a wife. He decides he's going to do this sort of little test. He's going to ask a maiden to drink from her water. He's by a well. Of course, wells are very significant. We'll talk about wells more. He's going to ask a maiden for water from her basin. And if not only she says yes, but also offers to water his camels, he will know that she is the one for Yitzchak, that she is kind and giving. So the second that Eliezer says, "Okay, I'm going to do this test thing," kind of to God, kind of to himself, immediately Rebecca comes out, and he runs over to her and says, "Please, can I have something for water?" And she hastily says, "Yes, of course. And when you have finished, I will also lower water for your camels as well." Eliezer is like, "Yep, she's the one, queen." So he takes her back to Israel, and Rivka. The text says that Yitzchak married her and loved her. It doesn't say Yitzchak was smitten with her, fell in love immediately, and then married her. It's that he married her and then their love grew, which is interesting. Those words, it's not a coincidence that that's the order of the words. So that's something to think about. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to why this parsha is called Chayei Sarah. It's not about Sarah. Her death begins it, but all the events that happen afterward are related to Sarah. Abraham's wife dies, and he realizes life is short. And he realizes that Sarah's greatest wish, I'm sure, was to have Yitzchak have a family of his own. And Abraham realizes that Yitzchak no longer has a complete family. His mother has died. And so Abraham wants to provide Yitzchak with a full family, because now he recognizes again that life is short. So when he asks Eliezer to go and find a wife for Yitzchak, it's in Sarah's merit. It's done because she has just passed away. He realizes how important it is to have a life partner, and he wants that for Yitzchak as well. And it's a beautiful sort of thing. It's like this sort of idea about Jewish progeny, about having families, and that the familial support is the greatest contributor to, a healthy mind and a successful life and a happy life. And I just kind of love that. And so that's kind of the concept. The other thing is that last week's parsha we had Akedat Yitzchak, the story of the binding of Isaac, and that was extremely traumatic for Abraham, for Yitzchak, and for Sarah. And assumedly, we don't hear what she thinks about it, but it happens in last week's parsha. Then suddenly in this week's parsha she dies. So we don't know if she died of, perhaps she heard what happened and didn't know how it ended, and died from shock or from heartbreak. But whatever it is, her life ends shortly after that event, and they have to be related. They're not directly after one another because for no reason. It has to be significant in that way. In the same way that Yitzchak saw her and loved her isn't by coincidence, that event happening and then Sarah dying cannot be a coincidence. So those are ideas, kind of. This is, a really great parsha, really meaningful stuff that happens. And I hope that you guys have a good discussion or bring up any topics that you have questions about. And God willing, I will see you all next week.